The Conservative MP who resigned from the government to rebel over Theresa May's handling of Brexit has been labelled untrustworthy by his own constituents. Dr. Philip Lee stepped down as Justice Minister, citing his belief for another Brexit referendum and that he felt the need to «speak up for my constituents» despite Bracknell voting 53% in favour of leaving the EU. Residents in his constituency reacted in disgust today following news of his resignation. Martin Lewis, aged 32 years, said, "I can't understand why he's stepped down. He's there to represent the British people, who voted to leave the EU." The charity shop volunteer added, "We can't trust politicians anymore, they just aren't looking out for normal people. I voted for Brexit because this country has lost its identity, but the people in Parliament are trying to stop it from happening," he said. Derek Ferguson, aged 51 years, said that he thought that the timing of his MP's resignation was damaging for the public. The former publican said, "I'm not racist, but we need to look out for our own country. The NHS is falling apart and we need to take back control of our own laws." However, not everyone in Bracknell was as outraged over Dr. Lee's resignation as Brexit voters. Cara Val Harrell, aged 68 years, said that she was happy that the former GP took the decision so that he could look out for his constituents. "I once wrote to him directly, as my drains were blocked and the council was doing nothing to help me," she said. "After months of complaining, I wrote directly to Dr. Lee, and within days my drains were fixed. It's a bittersweet feeling to see him having resigned," she added. Retired Friends Eileen Killiaston, aged 75 years, and Eileen Perkins, aged 73 years, said that Dr. Lee was a popular figure in the local community. The pair agreed that Brexit was bad for the country and added that it was fantastic he had stepped down, but they admitted that the timing did not benefit anyone. The former social services worker and retired nurse moved to Bracknell from Ireland recently and said that Dr. Lee was well thought of in the community. Despite criticism from some, Dr. Lee remained adamant that he had made the right decision. He said he quit so that could look his children in the eye and say I did the best for them. His resignation was deemed a severe blow to Mrs. May's hopes to align her party over Brexit negotiations. Earlier today, Dr. Lee compared Brexit to the death penalty today after betraying Theresa May by dramatically quitting the government. Dr. Lee was applauded by Remainers as he said politicians had a duty to defy public opinion over issues that harmed society, such as when Parliament banned capital punishment. The intervention in the Commons came after Dr. Lee resigned as Justice Minister, saying he could not look his children in the eye and support the way Brexit is currently being delivered. He also insisted he wanted to «speak up for his constituents», even though Eurosceptics pointed out his Bracknell seat voted 53% to leave in the referendum and the local party chair criticised his move. After a government concession meant Mrs. May avoided defeat on a crucial amendment, Mr. Lee tonight said his resignation was justified, even though he never voted against the PM's orders. The resignation, announced live on stage during a speech in London, heaped pressure on Mrs. May just hours before a series of knife-edge votes on the EU withdrawal bill. It will have been a particularly stinging betrayal as Dr. Lee is one of the Premier's few close friends in politics, and she is said to have attended his wedding. Dr. Lee turned the screw by speaking in the Commons debate this afternoon, saying he was devastated to have to quit, but adding, "I believe that there is growing evidence which shows that the Brexit policy our government is currently pursuing to deliver on the 2016 referendum is detrimental to the people we were elected to serve." Dr. Lee added, "Sometimes when a majority of people want something that is against the good of society, government and parliament have a responsibility to protect us. This was the case for the death penalty, where for decades politicians went against the majority view and refused to restore it. Now I believe it has got to be the case for the Brexit process." Tory former Minister Anna Soubry intervened in the speech to congratulate him, and fellow Conservative Sarah Wollaston said it was a courageous decision. The resignation is a massive blow for Mrs May, who this morning gathered her cabinet in number 10 ahead of the Commons showdown. Conservative rebels, Labour, the SNP and the Lib Dems hailed the departure as a «principled» stand. But Downing Street tried to play down the impact, saying, "His resignation is a matter for him and we thank him for his service."